Mhm. Good morning and welcome. Today is June 12th. It is now Thursday. Um, it's a beautiful day outside. I'm broadcasting live on the YouTube channel using the StreamYard application. I'm here to fight CPS, and I'm your host, Bob Pace. I've been doing this live stream and a second one twice a day, 7 days a week. Every night at 7 p.m., I do a live stream about CPS. It's Fight CPS, Stop Taking Our Children. Then on my morning shows, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m., I do this live stream, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. And on the weekend, it's 8 a.m. All of the live streams are 1 hour, and it's all done in Pacific Standard Time on the west coast of California. I'm from Surf City, USA, 3 blocks from the ocean. The ocean is my life. I love the ocean. I love the sea. In fact, people ask me, are you married? I'm married to the ocean. Yes, I do have a wife. I have over 42 years of marriage experience. I'm a loving father and a husband, and I've tried my best to take care of my family. I've worked over almost 61 years, and unfortunately, I encountered CPS. At the same time, I lost my job. Now, losing a job is a horrible thing. I've never been laid off before. But in 2010, I was laid off. I was the age of 60 then, and I still had a young family. 3 of my children, you know, one was 4, a young boy, in 2010. Next one was a girl. Who was 8 at the time. And then my other son, who was 14 at the time. Now, 2010 is kind of my pivoting time. For 15 years, I've been struggling. CPS caused me to lose my house. I had to sell my house to get an attorney because the only way I'm going to get my kids back is get an attorney. So I did a quick sale of my home. That was a beautiful home, a mile to the beach. But anyway, I was determined. I also determined to get a job at age 60. And a lot of people don't want to hire people at 60 because they think they're dinosaurs. Well, I'm telling you this, I'm not a dinosaur. There's a friend of mine that still competes in surfing contests. He's 53 years old. I've known him since he's 12. And he's still able to surf and exercise. Now, I'm 75, and I still ride a bike. I still ride a skateboard, and I still go backpacking and camping and hiking, and I still surf. I have to get in the ocean to get my gills wet. But enough about me. I've had 15 years of fighting CPS, and since October of 2023, I've met over 2,000 people so far, 20 months, twice a day, 14 live streams a day. Now, this is an interactive live stream, which means that I want to see you all participate with your questions or your comments. You can text a comment or a question, and it should pertain to CPS. Please state your first name. Now, I know many of you have great names on YouTube and Facebook, but a lot of times it's hard to either pronounce or tell you what they're. Jumping frogs or yellow-bellied toads, I don't like to call you yellow or jumping. I like an easy name. But anyway, state your name, your first name, your city or your county. If you don't want to know where, but county is fine. And the state that your CPS case was in. I also say country. Now, all of you in the United States don't have to list USA because I know all the 50 states, including Washington, D.C. I've had representatives from all 50 states and Washington, D.C. So when I say country, this is a worldwide podcast, and CPS does not stop in the United States. It's a problem everywhere. I've heard from Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and Libya, and then over to Africa, Liberia, Sudan, Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Mozambique, and several provinces in South Africa. Then up to Europe, England, Scotland, and Wales, and Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond to North America, Canada, several of the provinces there. Of course, the United States, south of the border, Mexico, and in South America, north of Brazil, Grenada on the East Coast. Then across the South Pacific to New Zealand, and then the land down under Australia. So that's well diversified of people in CPS. Now, what I call CPS is the Child Protection System. Every county in every state has a name, but there's so many different names. Like you go to California, in LA County, it's Department of Children and Family Services. But right next door, it's the Child Protection Services. Or if you go to Prescott, Arizona, it's Department of Children's Services. If you go to Kentucky, it's called the Cabinet. So whatever the name is, when I say CPS, I mean the CPS systems. They're found everywhere. It was mandated by Congress in 1962 to have our social services get a group of social workers and form what we have today to protect our children from neglect and abuse. They're also supposed to provide you with family reunification if it's necessary to break up the family. They're supposed to provide you with services like food and clothing, education and medical and transportation, even help you find a job. They're supposed to do all those things because people do need help. And when we look at the child protection system, we're looking at an agency that's supposed to help us, not to be corrupt. But unfortunately, I found that they're very corrupt. They retaliated. They've made it into a money-making business. 33 million, trillions of dollars is made by CPS. Trillions of dollars. Also, when you're texting in that message there, please tell me if this is the first time about your case from beginning to where you're at the moment. Now, I've had a lot of people come in here and become part of my family, not only from the United States, but from Africa and Canada. They come in here regularly, even from Africa. I have South Africa, a nice lady named Laika. And then there's a gentleman from Liberia. But anyway, all of you are welcome here. I want to help you. In order to help me, I need you to text me a message or to tell me what topics you'd like me to talk about. A wealth of information. Now, a second way to interact in this live stream is to be a guest. And I can take up to 9 of you in my live stream where you can talk and be on cam and help one another and help in the room. It's your chance to have a chance to talk because sometimes it's hard to call in because I can only take one person and call in. To be a guest, all you do is you pick one of my 14 live streams and tell Grace in an email, I want to be Bob's Sunday morning show or Bob's Friday night show. Her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. She's my show producer, and she works really hard behind the scenes, and I appreciate her. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And then she'll send you a link to get you on StreamYard, which is a software application I'm using. And you'll be with me on YouTube. And some general rules is that there's no profanity, no eating or smoking on the show. And we do not use the names of social workers, judges, or our children. So that is the second way. And now I'm going to put my phone number up. Okay. Now you can call in. I'm at 626-698-0990. I love to have you. I love you to talk. Good morning, Daniel Watt. I see you on early. I am doing pretty good this Thursday of the week. It's been a roller coaster ride on here, many cases up or down. And how are you and your brother and your son getting along? How are you and your brother and son get along? For a lot of you don't know it, Danielle is a long time friend here on my live stream. She once was my host, and she is a remarkable woman who struggled to get her son, who was kidnapped by CPS and kept past the age of 18. I think it was like 19, almost 20 before she finally could get him home. He's a special needs child, and he was lost in Texas. They're from Georgia, but he was sent to Texas for some special needs. And then when he turned 18, they contacted the mother, or he didn't. I don't know what the story was there, but it's bad. Anyway, she has him back, and she also has a brother with special needs. And it's so good to hear that you guys are doing great, Daniel. She has been a remarkable friend that I've known over here, very inspirational and very kind. And thank you for being a part of my live stream. Now, my number's up there, 626-698-0990. I love to have you call in and talk. Now, one thing nice about calling in or being a guest is that you'll get a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. That is important because he is a professional. He is the one attorney you really should get, or attorney like him. His picture's on the upper right-hand corner. He's the one that produces this live stream, or I should say created the live stream. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He is a longtime advocator of fighting CPS. He's been saving children for 39 years. He's been fighting CPS for 39 years. He's a trial attorney. He is skilled and very professional in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. That's what you're in. It's either dependency court or family court, depending on the state. But you're in the area of dependency law and family law and juvenile law. It's where they deal with children under the age of 18 and parents that may have been accused, either right or wrong. That's the problem. We have a lot of you, 2,000 plus of you, that have been wrongly accused, and the children have been wrongly taken. They were not in danger. They were not in danger. But it seems like a lot of the rogue CPS entities, their MO is to come knocking at the door, barge in, and take you. They like to bring the police along with them as intimidators. And the police somehow think they need to enforce CPS's rules. So you got to be careful. What are my rule? My rule number 3 is you do not talk to police or social workers when they come knocking at your door. Best yet, don't answer the door. If it rings or a knock happens, just be quiet. You do not have to answer that door. It's your constitutional right. It's your civil right that your home, when the drawbridge is up, is closed. There can only be 3 ways they can come in. 1, they have to ask for permission. Now, if you open the door and said, "Hi, come on in," well, they got their permission. or someone else in the home opens it up. So you need to instruct your children and your family members, don't open the door. You can tell your family and friends that come by to see you to do a special knock or a special ring. Or if you have a video camera, you can look to see who's outside. But whatever you do, don't answer the door, don't talk to them. Your time will come, but you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared. Because if you do talk to them, they'll use what you say against you. If you let them in the house, they think they got permission to search your home. If you have children there, they think they got permission to take your children. That is all wrong. You need to know your rights, your constitutional and civil rights. If you encounter them outside when you're in the yard or happen to walk to your house, be nice to them, but tell them, if this is involving a legal matter, I need to have my attorney present. It very clearly states in law that anytime you're involved in a legal matter, that you are allowed to have a lawyer represent you. And if you cannot afford one, that is the kicker. They will appoint you one. Well, they're hoping you can't afford them because they'd love to have their own lawyers be your lawyer. Now, what I mean by that is that they get lawyers that are just starting out that are only in criminal law, not in juvenile law, family law, or dependency law. And they load them up with 30 to 100 cases. That's what I've heard so far from people. That is way too many cases. So they won't be able to act like a normal attorney would. So you tell them, no, I will get my own attorney. Now, you may not have the funds or necessary, but you're going to get some time. If you tell them when you meet them outside that you need to get some time, and tell them that you'll get back to them about when to meet and where to meet. It's very important. You never meet them at their office or in your home. You want to meet them either at the library, Starbucks, or McDonald's, a public place where you can record the conversation and videotape, because they will lie. They are experts at lying, and they're very hard to navigate the system or to fight them. I tell people fighting CPS is like doing open heart surgery. It's very complex, as open heart surgery is. You need a professional, just like you do an open heart surgery. A lay person, a plumber or another kind of person, can't help you. It's like you're Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in the rabbit hole, and now you're at one of the rooms and you don't know where you're going, and you get crazy answers. In Alice in Wonderland, they said, off with your head. Well, in CPS, I think they do the same thing. I know firsthand experience how bad CPS is. I know they've retaliated. They retaliated against my family by forcing our daughter to leave her family. It's so sad that they have the way of doing things. Now, when you meet this social worker outside or time, you can schedule a time, get their card, get their name. You can't trust. They should be having a badge on. Any social worker that comes to visit you will get a badge identifying. Look at it. See what kind of a social worker is it? Is it a clinical social worker? Is it no social work at all? And don't be afraid of the police. The police legally are there to protect the social worker from people hurting the social workers. They're going to protect the social worker so that supposedly no one retaliates against the social worker. But instead, they use them to enforce their rules or do things. They wear very, battle gear. I mean, they're not friendly looking. They're very intimidating. So just tell them, I'll get back to you. And also get the name of the policeman that was there with them. Get his badge number. He'll have a badge number. Now, sometimes they have business cards and so forth. Make sure it all matches up. Because my rule number 3 says you got to be careful of these workers. Now, a second way they'll try to get in the home is to show you a warrant. Now, that is a legal document that they have to go to court and go see a judge. They have to see a judge on a work day. not the weekend. Judges don't work on the weekend. Also, there's a holiday during the weekday. They got to see them on a normal day. So the first thing you do, you look for the word warrant at the top. Then there should be a date when this was taken out. You want to look right down at the signature. See the date of the signature. If it falls on a weekday and not a holiday on the weekday or on the weekend, then it is a legitimate warrant. And especially if it's signed by a judge with a wet signature, and then there is a hand stamp that the clerk uses to perforate the paper, so raise up the hand stamp. So there's roughness to it. So you know that's a legitimate warrant. Then you need to read what's on the warrant. It should have your name or the other people involved, if it's your husband and wife or with your partners or whatever you are, name should be on there. Then also there should be a list of the children, a list of the children's names. Then they should also list whether you're being charged neglect or abuse, or whether it's both. Then there's specific instructions on the document that tells them that you will speak to a social worker or the police, or you will turn over the children, or you allow them to search your home. Those things got to be on there, and it's got to be a certain day. For instance, if the date is 3 days from now, you tell them, I'm sorry, the warrant's no good. You have to come back in 3 days. So really look at that warrant, because a lot of times CPS will lie. They'll white things out, change the date, change signatures. Oh my goodness. Or they say, look at my computer. I got a PDF file that they manipulated. So be very, very, very careful. So I'm talking about this rule number 3. Now, I'm taking my scenario out of line right now. Normally, I don't talk about rules until all at once, whatever. And I know what Daniel says is my mom passed away unexpectedly, and the state got involved when they had no reason to. They violated that original guardianship order. They unlawfully seized my son. Well, I'm glad you shared that, Daniel. Every time I talk to you, I learn more. But anyway, I'm talking about rule number 3. And it's important. It's so, so, so important. Now, I have topics we can talk about. I'm very research oriented, and I know how to use the internet. Now, part of Rule 3, I'd also talk about medical trafficking, and a lot of this has been going lately. There was a family last week in Santa Clarita that got wrongly accused by the CPS in LA County, California, that they were doing medical neglect to their child. They were saying the parents refused to take out the child's appendix. All the parents were doing was being proactive to make sure that was the problem. They went ahead with it at the insistence that suddenly the social worker is a doctor. So they took out the child's appendix at 4 years of age. And that's quite a trauma for a young child to go through. The next day, the child still had the pains. You see, what happened was, in the initial onslaught, the parents were very proactive. They took the child to their pediatrician, who said that he could not know what's wrong with her pain in her groins. And see, she had pain in the left side of the groin, but no one asked that. And no one knows that appendix on the right side, not the left side. And no one even thinks about a gallbladder and gallstones. So what happened is the first hospital they went to, the emergency room, they only did a sonogram. They did not do an x-ray. You need to do all kinds of imaging. You have to do x-rays, sonograms, and MRIs. Those are 3 that I know of. There's probably more. Because soft tissue would show up in MRIs, and bones would show up in x-rays, and little gallstones would have shown up. But the doctor only used a sonogram, which is good for babies and infants and so forth. Anyway, they thought she had appendicitis, and the only way to get rid of appendicitis is remove the appendix. Well, the parents did some research, and they know that appendix is a valuable organ. It helps out with immune in the children, especially with the area where the gut does a lot of digestion. Anyway, they wanted a second opinion. They got the second hospital who said the same thing. Again, no x-rays were taken, and that's when they met the social worker insists that they need to do the surgery, or they're threatening to take the child away. That is gross. That to me is unprofessional. Well, they took out the appendix, but the next day the child still had pain in the groin. So they took him to a third hospital, and this hospital did an x-ray. And sure enough, they found gallstones on the left side. Appendix is on the right side, and she was complaining about pain from the left side from day one. Anyway, they addressed the gallstones. They're going to pass out. There's a medicine she can take that dissolves them, and some, unfortunately, people get them. And it's very painful to scrute them out, by the way. I don't need to go into details. But I learned about appendix and gallstones. I did that all by researching on the internet. This internet is amazing. Now, I use Google, the regular normal search engine. I don't use Google Chrome. I don't use Microsoft's Edge. I don't use a lot of the browsers like Go.go and so forth. And good morning, beautiful. I'm just seeing my wife. She always brings a smile to my face. Anyway, I'm trying to, and I say I have Daniel Watt on here, and I'm so glad that you're here. And we're talking about medical trafficking. And now I'm going to switch to rule number 4, which is how to use the internet. There's very important with arrangements of words. My wife taught me this about how to search for something. She's an expert at trying to find things on the internet. She found me on the internet. She looked me up and found me. That is amazing. It's a beautiful love story. I always will remember that. Anyway, I'm trying to keep a straight face. It's hard sometimes. But it's important when you want something that you place your words. The first word should be the city. And after the city, you follow with the state. Then after that, you put the letters CPS. CPS. And with that, you'll get all kinds of things. But if you want to refine your search, all you need to do is type out what you're looking for. Let's say you're looking for that attorney. You just put in there juvenile law, family law, dependency law, attorney. And sure enough, they'll come up there. Now, some of you may live in small cities. So you want to put the next big city after the first little city. Example, if you live in Athens, Georgia. Athens is a beautiful place in Georgia. It's the home of University of Georgia. And I've been there many, many times. My friend from high school went there for his college degree. Anyway, you may want to put Athens, Atlanta, which is the next big city near Athens. So research that way. And good morning, Dorothy Cook. Yep. I love it, Dorothy. Dorothy's been really a wonderful mom. She's from North Carolina, and she's helped so many people in this room. And I thank you. I think, Christina is trying to get a hold of Alicia. I think she gets a hold of you pretty good. We have Christina Reynosa from Las Vegas, Nevada. We also have Dorothy Cook from North Carolina. And then we have Daniel Watt from Georgia. These are my regular people. They're good people. They're part of my family. I thank them for being here. I'm doing something a little different today. I'm actually talking about my rules one at a time at different parts of my morning live stream here. And we were talking about researching the internet. But you'd be surprised what you can find on the internet. I was able to help out that family from Santa Clarita because they were trying to take away their child, and they had a court date on a Wednesday. And so on Tuesday, I told them, after they successfully fixed the problem with the hospital, that they need to get an attorney, such as like Mr. Davis. But it was too short of a notice. And so I said to them, go to court and ask for a continuance. Ask for a 60 to 90-day continuance. All they can do is say no. So she did that. She did get a court-appointed attorney late Tuesday night, but it's no good because no chance. So she goes to court and she asks the judge, could I have 60 to 90-day continuance to get an attorney hired? And he looked at her, and this judge is really bad news. I'll give you 1 day, ma'am, 1 day. So she called me back with the results and said, you need to find an attorney. I told her what to do, and we helped her find an attorney. She brought the attorney on Friday. She had a 1 day continuance on Thursday. The judge's look on his face was wow. Because here is a couple wrongly accused of medical trafficking, trying to keep their daughter in their home. And the judge had no choice but to listen to what the attorney had to say. And they got to keep their child, and the case will be dismissed. I don't know what the latest statute is, but this is a real case scenario. This is a real case scenario. I talk from experience. I talk from people that have shed things to me. I know for a fact, after 20 months, that there's good people that have been saved by what I said or do what I say. I hear it every day that people said, I didn't open my door, or I didn't speak to them, or I got an attorney. Now, I know it's hard, and we've been talking about, I guess, rule number 3 and then rule number 4. Now we're going to jump to rule number 1. They get an attorney, and I was talking about Mr. Davis on the upper right-hand corner. He's one of the best. He also does lawsuits. When your case is over, he will sue CPS for millions of dollars. He's won. He's not afraid to tackle CPS. Bakersfield hates him. A lot of the CPS systems use his videos to have their workers learn how to get around this kind of attorney. He means business. He cares. He once was a foster child himself. Now, the number to his office is 888-888-6582. There you'll reach reception. And when you call in, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace says hello. And good morning, Felicia. Cruella. Do a trick. She's from Oxnard. And her case is Ventura, California, and she's fighting eviction of the home that her mom owns. And right now her mom's missing, and her 2 babies were stolen. Her brother has been really mean towards her. I know firsthand about how brothers can be. My wife was abused by her brother, and he, along with the rest of the family, called in for 5 years from 2010 to 2015, saying that we weren't taking care of our children right, making up false allegations. They're lay people, but they're not professional. But even the professional people that report CPS are mandated to report CPS, 50% of the time they're wrong. 50%. There was cases last year of 4,200,000 children being suspected, or parents being suspected of child abuse or neglect. Of them, 2 million had to be thrown out. 2 million had to be thrown out. And those 2 million, demonstrates even the professionals can't get abuse or neglect right. If professionals can't, which are your school teachers, your nurses and doctors and policemen, then how can you expect the lay people to get it right? I think they're right maybe 75% of the time. I don't know. I don't know the statistics. And thank you, Dorothy, for displaying the number, 888-888-6582. So you can ask for Mr. Davis there. And when you do talk to him, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And you can have a consultation right away. There's ways you can get free consultations, like making a phone call or being a guest. You get a free 15-minute consultation. Or if you want to spend $60, I have a special rate that will work with Mr. Davis. For 30 minutes, it only will cost you $60. His hourly rate is $500 an hour. But you can either talk to him for free by calling in or being a guest, or spend $60 and talk for 30 minutes to him. All you have to do is go to that website, candlely.com. Go to that website, put your credit card down, pay the $60, and schedule your own time with Mr. Davis on a private Zoom consultation. Now, he's located in LA. He's in Arcadia. That is LA County. And if you want to retain him, his basic retainer is at $5,000 with a rate of $500 an hour. But you have to understand about retainers. That doesn't mean the whole cost of your case would be that much. And when I give a rate, it's approximate, depending on how complex and how long your case is going on, be the determinant of the retainer. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of money. It was to me. Of course, I didn't know anything about professional attorneys back then. I went and decided to use the court attorney, and boy, was I mistaken. I learned a valuable lesson. Never, ever, ever use a court-appointed attorney. It's a waste of time. It's a total waste of time. So, anyway, it's very important that you get an attorney. And it should be someone trained in the area of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. And all you need to do is get 2 quotes. I've already given you a quote of the first attorney. So now you have 3 attorney for quotes. All you need is call for 2 more or look on the internet for 2 more. And so with that being said, you can go ahead and use what I told you in rule number 4 about how to look for an attorney. Remember, it's a city, state, and the letter CPS. And if you're outside of the United States, put your country. And then after CPS, put down a juvenile law, a family law dependency attorney, and a bunch of them show up. You look at their websites, and you need to call them to weed them out. You want to ask them 2 important questions. Question number 1, are you a professional licensed juvenile law, family law dependency attorney? If the answer is yes, that's good on your part. You're halfway there. Then with the second question, ask them, when the case is over, have you ever done a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit against CPS, either in state court or federal court, and won money back? If the answer is yes, then there you go. You got your second candidate. You do that for your third. You find 3 candidates. Well, you got 1 candidate, Vincent Davis. Then you need, with the other 2, including Mr. Davis, you need references. Call the office and say, I want 3 references to determine whether I want to hire him. You're still at the beginning stage. This will go quick and fast. After you check out the references, you schedule a time to talk or meet with the attorney because you want to establish the chemistry. So you want to meet with all 3 attorneys. You want to make sure I'm not telling you or forcing you to use Vincent Davis, but he is the man. He's the guy that will fight your case, that knows it quite well. Anyway, that's enough talking about my rule number 1. I've already talked about rule number 4, about how to do the research on the internet. Spend at least 60, 80 hours, by the way, not just 1 or 2 hours. You need to find out who your adversary is. You have to treat CPS as an enemy. Just like in the world, when one country goes against another country, they want to find out who they're fighting against. I'm sure America knows all about Russia and China. So you need to find out what kind of CPS entity this is. You need to see if there's been any complaints or lawsuits. You need to check out the judges. You need to check out their court-appointed attorneys. There's a lot of things you need to check out. Because this courtroom consists of very important people. One is the judge. He's supposed to be knowledgeable in juvenile dependency law and family law. But a lot of judges aren't. He's also supposed to know about family reunification. My judge wasn't. He was the worst judge you could ever imagine. He had a smirk on his face. He loved wearing the black robe and be on top of his throne. But judges are nothing more than referees. They're supposed to know the law and make a determination based on what the plaintiff attorneys have stated or the defendant attorneys have countered. You have to understand, CPS is to be represented by an attorney, a plaintiff attorney. And you're represented, since you're on the defense, by a defendant attorney, whether it's court appointed or whether you hire it. And my recommendation is to hire. Now, if I know now, and I know it's late, I should have had legal insurance. I so long in this life here, I always thought about having life insurance. In case something happens to you, you have money left over that family can live on. So I had life insurance. I had car insurance because it's required by law. I also got other kinds of insurance. I should have got pet insurance. I learned the hard way. I had to spend tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars on my pets. I should have had pet insurance. Well, the one insurance I forgot about is the legal insurance. There's one called Zoom. There's another one, Legal Shield. There's so many of them. And by the way, the same people that give you car insurance will give you legal insurance. For instance, if you're chair of an organization, a nonprofit organization, you better have an attorney because they could sue you. So getting legal insurance will cover all your legal matters. Yes, it's going to take money in your pocket, but in the long run, it's not going to cost you as much as hiring an attorney. So look into it and get it. And thank you again, Dorothy, for emphasizing my bullet points. You're really being helpful here. Now, I noticed that 3 people have left me emojis. And one person is called Don't Quit, Instead Come Legit. And then I have a thumbs up from Dorothy Cook and Daniel Watt. And thank you. Thank you very, 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 very much. Anyway, that's legal insurance. And now I'll try to be a lot more softer with my voice because sometimes I have a tendency when I'm talking to sound like I'm yelling. I'm not meaning to yell. But I want to make sure everybody hears me. Now I'm going to put on something before I forget that there's a new guide out. It's been out for some time. It's called Get the Grandparents Guide, a step-by-step process of getting guardianship of your grandchildren. It's also good for parents, and it's set up for California, but I work in other states. All you have to do is go to another website called the Stand.store. That website, the Stand.store, will have the guide and all other guides and all other things too. They'll have all other things. They'll be offered on their website. Now the book is $9.99. But I have a discount code you can use called PACE, PACE 50 that you can contact and get a discount of half off, less than $5. So anyway, that's one of many guides that are available on Stand.store. Also, there's lawyer packages on there. Lots of information on Stand.store. Now, the main website for Vincent Davis is his name, Vincent W. Davis. By going to that website, You can see all about his office, his different attorneys. He has a wealth of attorneys. He has somebody for immigration, from divorce to legal to all kinds of different kinds of things in the system. So there's a second website. So I've given you 2 phone numbers, several websites, and now I'm going to put my phone number back up because I really like to have someone else call in instead of hearing me talk all the time. Thank you. Dorothy explains that Legal Shield to cover you for your legal matters. Yes, you're right. You're right about there. Now we have a new person in the room I've not heard before called U.S. Corvette. Well, he may be a Corvette lover. He loves the Corvette, which is made by Chevrolet. I love the Stingray, the 1964 Stingray with the split windows. That was my favorite Corvette. I wanted one so bad in high school. At that time, when that car was out in 64, it's interesting how 64 is very special to me. It's my wife's birthday. It's very, very special. But anyway, welcome, U.S. Corvette. And I have no idea where you're at. But if you could share me where you're at, it'd be great. So he has a question: how to prove verbal and emotional abuse. Also, food withholding from resource parents. Well, it's called documentation. And I haven't really talked too much about my rule number 2 called documentation. Also, is legal insurance something you have to get if sued? Oh, yes. If you get sued, you better have legal insurance. You know, we don't think about that. Just like pet insurance. For a long time, I've been paying thousands and thousands of dollars to take care of my pets. It was expensive. I had to borrow $5,000 once to try to save my dog's life. So pet insurance is something I should have gone. I regret I didn't get pet insurance. But if I ever have a pet again, that's one of the first things I'm going to get. And when I get a full-time job, the very first thing I'm going to get is legal insurance, because you never know what's ever going to happen down the road. You never know. And the problem is the court of law is like open heart surgery. Open heart surgery is a very risky surgery, and so is dealing in the courts of law. They are there. They sometimes protect the innocent, but sometimes they don't. Now, U.S. says he wants help to prove verbal and emotional abuse. Well, my rule number 2 is called documentation. But you need to start your book, a notebook, 6 inches thick with 3 rings, to put all your documentation in. Also, you have to do what's called an incident time log. Now, that will help you with emotional abuse, also the food withholding from a resource parent. So if you have an incident time log, you only need 3 lines of notebook paper for each incident. The first line is devoted to either the phone number, because you talked to them on the phone, or you saw them in person, what the name of the incident was, the location. Then you put the people you talked to and the date and time. Then your second sentence is that you put in 1 sentence summary what the incident's about. Then after that, you put a summary of the incident, the results of the incident. Now, you may not know it right away. You may have to leave that blank. But you do that with every incident. And it's so important, U.S., that you document that. The same thing goes for holding resource parents. Again, you can do it on an incident time log. Your own words can be held in court, because when you produce that document in court. Now, one thing to keep your notebook organized is to have tabs. It's very important to have tabs, because you need to be able to find things quick. In a court of law, it's quick. And so if there's something you want to bring up, you can thumb to it and go there. You want to put everything else that's in there. Any of your drug tests that you're taking. whether they're court ordered or not, or whether you're taken voluntarily, or whether you take it from your health insurance, or they make it take their drugs. You want to put the results there. Also, you'll be taking parenting classes, classes that will help. They're not a waste of time. A lot of you, will think all this is troublesome, but it's okay. I enjoyed all my parenting classes. And so you want to put the certificates in that notebook. Then a lot of you may have to go to programs like domestic violence, or you might have to go to drug treatment or alcohol treatment or smoking addictions or any kind of program that involves some time. That certificate you want to put in there. Also, you want to put all your other court papers, whether they're from the courthouse or from social services. Now, you can split them in two. I did not do this. I did have copies of everything. It was 4 feet high. It was virtually impossible to go through it. So that is how you can document and how you can prove to them. And so, yes, US, you need that. Now, Dorothy further says, get grandparents' guide to other. Oh, good. She put that up there. And then she showed Mr. Davis's website. And she's got my phone number there too. Yep. Thank you, Dorothy. That's so good. Yep. So anyway, we've talked about my rule number 2. We've talked about my rule number 1, which is to get an attorney. Rule number 2 is documents. Rule number 3, we talked about not saying anything. But the other part of rule number 3 is called medical trafficking. Medical trafficking is where you bring a child in, and unfortunately, there's a social worker working in either the urgent care or the emergency room at the hospital. They always are nosy. They want to know what's going on, but they're trolling, they're fishing, they get business. They know if you say something wrong, they'll attack on it. So maybe you're talking with the doctor about something or whatever it is, and they suddenly want to interfere. It's even worse when you come into the hospital to have your baby. A lot of you go to the hospital to have your baby. That's supposed to be a good experience. It's very important when you arrange at the hospital to have your baby that you have on the list who can come in your room. Because lately, so many CPS social workers have walked into rooms along with the police in tow to try to take away the baby because the mother tested positive for drugs, or the baby tested positive for drugs, or whatever reason they want to take that child away. And that is nothing more traumatic than a young child to be severed from the mother. When your child is first born, when it comes out of the uterus, the first thing the doctor will do, of course, make sure that the child is crying because it's important, so they want to spank the child. But they lay the child on the mother's breast so that the child will have the first bonding moment with the child. So the child will recognize the mother. Now, if the father's present, he's there. He's supposed to be the coach. He's supposed to be the cheerleader. He's supposed to be there to give strength and encouragement and also participate in the birthing of a child. A birthing of a child is a beautiful experience. It really is. When you see something that is conceived from so small out of love grows up to be a 300-pound, 200-pound adult, 6 feet tall. That's amazing. That's something that big can grow. Now, understand U.S. Corvette says, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm in California and dealt with one of the most corrupt CPS cases. I've had documentation, all evidence, 6 months that I may need. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that. I don't know what part of California or what, city or county you're in, but I know I felt I had the worst case too. But my case involved everything. I had to lose my home to hire an attorney. I had to quick sell my beautiful forever home, a home that I worked 45 years to get. Gone. I lost it on April 3rd, 2017. I drive by the home every day. And the new owners, who are very bad people, stole it from me on a quick sale. So I know what you're going through there, US. And I thank you very much. And hopefully there's some things that can help you in this room. Now, again, I repeat, my phone number's up at 626-698-0990. And I'd love to have you call in and talk. It's a long time for me to talk on here. And I don't want to be repetitious, but I try to point out things because we have new people that come in the room, like US Corvette. But I do help people. People know by doing things like opening the door, not talking to social workers, not giving up your children so easily, that they're able to do better. I'm very blessed to help raise 6 children. 3 of them are grown up and have families of their own. Sadly, we don't get to see them since our CPS incident. The CPS did lots of damages. Not only does it damage the children, it damages the parents and the relatives related to the family. It's a horrible thing to go through, and a lot of you are very traumatic-sized. I mean, there's been a lot of traumatic situations where a mother called in not too long ago about her child being crushed to death in a playpen full of styrofoam balls because of lack of supervision by social workers. It was barely a 12-month-old child that could hardly walk. And that child was crushed by other children playing. The social workers didn't supervise them. Yes, that's a horrible story. You want to hear something else?
Yeah.
In Africa, South Africa, a lady named Leica learned that her child, who was in the hands of social services, was on an outing at a lake. And the social workers were so careless, they let a crocodile come in and take the child. Now the child's gone. So if you want to know about social workers and how bad life can be, there are 2 children that are dead because of carelessness of social workers. Further, all I have to tell you is about the pink ladies in Arizona. In Prescott, Arizona, in the year 2022, the summer, there was 8 social workers with over 35 years of experience. They were supposed to protect their children from neglect and abuse. But what they did instead is they bought pink t-shirts. Well, at first I thought pink shirts, that's nice. It's called breast awareness. The color pink is used for breast awareness. But these social workers